Hi everyone, my name is Ashish and I'm a junior doctor working in the UK. In this video I'll be talking about my perspective about why I didn't choose my training in London and why I don't live in London and why did I choose to train from a smaller town which is Haverfordwest in Pembrokeshire in West Wales. When I went for my GP training applications, it was round 2 of the applications and my preferences were Oxford on the top and they had just one seat. The second one was Haverfordwest where I am currently training. The third one was Swansea, fourth one was Cardiff, fifth was Cambridge, sixth was Kent, Surrey and Sussex, and London was very later on in my preferences. So I'll be talking about why I did so. If you want to support my work on YouTube, you can do so by clicking on the like button, sharing this video as much as possible and subscribing to this channel. Let's start. My first reason is that there was no clear-cut advantage in training from London rather than when I'm training from the current city where I'm based, which is Haverfordwest. If you look at the teaching, the portfolio and the exit exams of GP training, they are same all over the country. So this GP training is very standardized and there is no clear-cut advantage if I'm training from London or if I'm training from some other city. A lot of people say that if you're working in small hospitals, it's very difficult for you to get academic stuff, and if you practice and if you go for non-training jobs initially in bigger hospitals and university hospitals, you get a lot of academic exposure. I don't think this is absolutely true. When I was working as a non-trainee in my hospital, I completed 5 full cycle QIPs. I organized with the local tutors a teaching program for medical students and healthcare professionals which ran for almost 8 months, and I learned artificial intelligence working on a full-time job and then presented a research paper in artificial intelligence in an international conference. So it is a myth that if you work in bigger hospitals, you will get more exposure to academics. I think if you are hardworking and you know how to do stuff and you know how to get stuff done, then you can get it done from anywhere. This was the first reason why I chose to train from my current place rather than training in London. The second one is that it's very expensive to live in London. So a lot of people who you see on the internet who live in London, they are not actually living in central London. They live in the peripheries of London because it is very difficult to afford to live in the central parts of London if you're working as a junior doctor. So if I'm paying £500 of rent a month in my current city, I would have to pay maybe £1,500–1,700 per month for the same number of rooms in my flat. So a lot of people stay in the peripheries of London and they commute to work, and a lot of people live in shared accommodations, which I absolutely hate. So it is actually very expensive to live in London, and that was my second reason why I didn't choose to go for GP training in London. The third one is that it's longer to commute to work. If you are living in London, an average person there travels 81 minutes, and it's not a made up figure. I have taken it from a very reputed source. So it's like wasting a huge part of your life traveling. If you are a doctor or a junior doctor training in London, then you'll have to get up early on in the morning, get yourself ready, pack your bags, then take a long ride in the tubes, go to your hospital, work there. Then if you finish late, you'll have to travel back in the same tube again to reach your accommodation or the housing place. So it's a huge waste of time and I hate traveling to work, and that was my third reason. The next reason was that there is a higher population density in London. So when you go to the streets of London and when you travel by tubes in London, it's highly populated, and I find this environment a bit chaotic, and I wanted to live in a city which is not that densely populated. And that's why I didn't choose to train from London. The next reason was there is more pollution in London because of the higher number of vehicles. Although the government is doing a lot of things to reduce the pollution in London, they have made ultra low emission zones in London, and they have established some concession charges for diesel vehicles and petrol vehicles so that they don't enter the main city, but still London is quite polluted. The place where I'm currently living has an AQI of 1. So pollution was a major factor for me. I come from Delhi, and Delhi is highly polluted, and I didn't want to repeat the history again. So I chose to live in a place where the pollution was less. The next reason is that people are less friendly in bigger cities, and especially London. When you come to Wales and when you meet people here, they are much more polite, they respect you more, there is a lot less racism, and they are quite friendly and helpful, and that's why I wanted to live in my current place, and that's why I didn't move to London. The next reason was that there is high crime rate in London. You see a lot of news about people stabbing, and you see lots of crime news in London about things being stolen or people getting mugged, or you see a lot of news reports about all these gangs, and I absolutely hate this crime in bigger cities, so I wanted to stay in a place where the crime rate is less. The next reason is that there is a very busy work life in London. If you're living in a big city and you're working in very big hospitals, you'll be working quite a lot. And I don't think I wanted to work that much when I was training to be a GP. I wanted to take things slow and take my time to learn things rather than rushing and staying late at work and trying to take care of a lot of patients at once. So I hated this idea of working in a very, very busy center. The next reason is a pretty minor one, and it's just that London is far away from the beach, and the current place where I'm living, it's very close to the beach, so I can go to the beach every day. My final opinion is that I don't want to judge anyone or look down upon anyone who's currently living in London or planning to do so. It's just a personal choice, and it can be different for different doctors, and you might feel that London might be a very good place for you because of a lot of options available there, and because of the good social life which you can have in bigger cities. And personally, I feel that if I would have chosen a more academic branch, or if I were doing some MSc, PhD, or I was going for learning some state-of-the-art techniques, then I would have definitely gone for London. But as I'm training to become a GP, I didn't feel that there was any advantage for me to move to London. And I've seen a lot of people who get this ego boost when they tell other people that they live in London, and if you're one of them, then it will definitely disappoint you. So try to figure out where you want to really live and what are the reasons for doing so. That's it for this video. I hope that you liked this video, and I will see you soon in another video. Thanks a lot for watching.